Good morning, this is Marx from the Bible in 1 Year. Today we're going to look at Genesis 34. Genesis 34 tells the troubling story of Dinah, the daughter of Jacob and Leah. Dinah goes out to visit the women of the land. Shechem, the son of Hamor, the Hivite who was a local ruler, sees her, takes her, and violates her. Afterward, however, Shechem claims to love Dinah and asks his father to arrange a marriage between them. Hamor approaches Jacob to negotiate. He proposes intermarriage and a peaceful coexistence between their peoples. Jacob's sons, however, was deeply angered because Dinah has been defiled, and they see this as a disgraceful act against their family. We then see that two of Jacob's sons, Simeon and Levi, respond deceitfully. They tell Hamor and Shechem that the men of the city must be circumcised to intermarry with them. Shechem and the men of the city agree. On the third day, when the men are in pain from circumcision, Simeon and Levi attack the city, kill all the males, including Hamor and Shechem. They also rescue Dinah and plunder the city. Jacob rebukes Simeon and Levi, fearing retaliation from surrounding peoples. The chapter ends with the brothers justifying their actions, asking, "Should he treat our sister as a prostitute?" When we look at Genesis 34, the following stands out: sexual sin and its devastating consequences, uncontrolled anger and revenge, deception used for violent purposes, tension between justice and vengeance, and failure of leadership and spiritual guidance. Now, how do we apply Genesis 34 in our lives today? Firstly, we see that sin always has ripple effects. Shechem's sin didn't just affect him and Dinah, it affected families and a whole city. Our private sins often have public consequences. Always guard your heart and actions. What seems like a personal choice can deeply wound others. Secondly, we see that our emotional reactions can lead to greater sin. Simeon and Levi's anger was understandable, but their revenge was excessive and sinful. They responded to evil with greater evil. When we are hurt or offended, seek God's justice rather than personal revenge. Be angry and do not sin. We must allow God to handle vengeance. We also see that they used circumcision as a weapon. We should never use spiritual things to manipulate or justify sinful behavior. Lastly, justice must reflect God's character. The brothers asked, "Should he treat our sister like a prostitute?" They desired justice, but not God's justice. True justice is not driven by rage, but by righteousness. In moments of injustice, we should ask ourselves, am I seeking God's will, or am I acting from wounded pride? In conclusion, Genesis 34 is a dark chapter showing how sin, anger, and revenge destroys peace. It reminds us that when we take matters into our own hands instead of trusting God, destruction multiplies. God calls us to holiness, self-control, and justice shaped by His character, not our emotions. Have a blessed day.